Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Myself Malkari Santhosh. Hope all are doing fine. In this today's video, we're going to discuss a very important framework topic where most of the people from past few years they are moving from BDD framework to this framework. So our topic is about Serenity BDD framework. So the reason behind opting this framework is it helps to write cleaner and more maintainability of the automation code where it helps for the acceptance and regression test. So the main importance of this framework is the reporting system which it has. So it produces a illustrated and narrative way of reporting. So the document will represent in such a way like how the application works and how does it entirely looks like. So this beautiful part makes people to opt this framework and work in this. So let's see what exactly this framework, and we will develop this framework, and I will explain you each and every procedure of how to follow, how to create a framework on this Serenity. Before diving into the session, I would like to ask you, please subscribe to my channel so that you will get more videos from my side, and I wanted to educate you based on the automation side. So if you like my video and share my video, it will boost me up so I can make more videos such like. Okay, thank you for that, and let's begin our session. I am in IntelliJ right now. Let's create a new Maven project. So I have a JDK version of 11, and you can have your own version. It's better to have JDK version 1.8 and above. Let's click on next. So let's provide a name. So I'm providing the project name as Serenity Santhosh Serenity Demo, and you can have your own name. And here the artifact name can be anything. So let it be org.demo, and click on finish. So it will create a new Maven project. So the reason behind the Maven project we are opting here because so it will create a basic project structure for us so that we no need to worry about the folders and whatever the things we need to create in the project. So it will handle everything. So the main heart of the Maven project is pom.xml where we need to add our dependencies and plugins. So it will download from the Maven shelter, and it will act as a Maven repository to us. So to maintain our dependencies and plugins. So here by default, we don't have any plugins or dependencies. So we need to add as per our requirement. Okay. So you can see the structure of the Maven. We have source and we have main and test folders. Under this, we have subfolders of Java and resources. Basically, if you're working on Maven project, you would have known this. So the main thing we have to do now is we need to have the pam.xml. So inside the pom.xml, you need to add the dependencies and plugins for our Serenity framework. Okay, so let me open the notepad. So these are the Serenity dependencies and plugins which I have. Okay, so you can get these from Maven dependency portal. Okay, so I will explain you each and everything what I have just texted here. So I have added the properties. So as I already have the properties, so it is making an error. So I can delete the above one. So I will be having only one tag as properties where I have mentioned the Maven compiler and target compiler for JDK 11. Later I have used the Serenity version as 2.3 and JUnit version as 5.8. And these are the encoding options where you are using UFT8. And coming to dependencies part, here I'm using Serenity.bdd because we are working on Serenity framework right now. So we are using this, and I have added the Serenity JUnit. So I'm using only two dependencies as of now. The main part which we need to focus here is the plugins. So we are using Maven Surefire plugin. So it is helpful when we are running the test cases. So mainly for execution part, we are using Surefire plugin. It will initiate our test cases to run, and Maven compiler plugin will compile our test cases. So these are the two plugins which we are using. And the third plugin which we are using is the Serenity Maven plugin, where this is the plugin where it will help us to create the reporting system for our execution part. And we are using Serenity reports, and the phase we are using is a post integration test. It will aggregate our report and give it a HTML report in a beautiful manner. Okay, so this is all about pom.xml, what we have placed for dependencies and plugins. And once it is done, so look at the structure of our project. So here it is a sample Maven project. Now we need to convert it into Serenity BDD project. So in order to do that, so the first step we need to add the Serenity properties. So create a file and name it as Serenity. You need to give the exact name, serenity.properties. So as pom.xml is the main file for the Maven project. So Serenity acts as the same for the Serenity framework. So in this, we need to add the properties where we can utilize this in our Serenity framework. I will tell you later what to add. Okay, so let us first focus on the structure of our project. So the next thing we need to add here is the folders for our framework. So inside test, so whatever the test cases you need to run, you should add it in the test case. So okay, so under Java, create a package. Okay, name the package as pages, because we need to create pages for our each and every web page which we have. And the next package we need to add here is steps, where we need to add the steps for our uh, test cases which we have. And the last thing is test. Okay, where we'll add our test cases. Okay, for our framework we need an application to automate. So let's choose an application. So let's go to web browser, and so let me automate Google. Okay, so let's type Google, and we got the Google homepage where we have a search bar. So let me type automation testing. Okay, so once we have searched the automation testing in search bar, we got a few options as per our search. So we need to select Selenium, automation testing Selenium under this dropdown. So these are the dynamic dropdown. Every time it will not be in the same place. So we need to handle this dynamic part as well. So let's do it more in the implementation. So as of now, this is the thing which we need to do, automation testing Selenium. So once the web page has been navigated to Selenium page, so our test case should end. So this is the activity which we need to perform. So in order to do that, so we need to have uh, a Google homepage, okay, and Google step page and the Google test case. So let's create that. So let's create a class. So the class name is Google page. So under this page, I'm going to create the web elements which we need to use them in the test cases. Okay, and in the steps place, we need to create the methods for our implementation. So let me add it as Google step. Okay, and coming to test, so I will use Google test. So where I will use for the testing part. Okay, so I have created three classes. In each folder I have created one class. Okay, and we need the test data. So for that I'm going to main. Under resources, let me create one properties files. So let me name it as test data. So test data dot, so we can add it as properties. So we can pull the properties and we can use them. So this is the test data dot properties files where we can add the or whatever the variables we need for our automation. I'm in the Google page class right now. So in this page, I already told we need to create the web elements. So as we do in BDD framework, as part of a page object model approach, we should create at the right find by annotations. Then we need to add the page elements, page factory elements to initiate our elements. But in Serenity framework, we don't need to do all these things. We need to extend a class here. This is the class where it has all the things. So the class name is PageObject. So you can see we got the page object, which is Serenity BDD core.pages. So this is the class which we need to import, and it should extend. So if I go to this class, so let's see the what are the methods we have in this class. So this comes from the Serenity BDD core package. So this class contains the entire things, so as part of our page implementations. So and synchronization part also available here. So no need to write an extra code for our automation framework. It will provide most of the things for us. Okay, so for example, so let's create an iterate find by annotation to create an element. So find by, so it's asking to import. So let's create, so let's import the iterate find by annotation. So it's asking where we need to import. So you can import from Selenium support as it's from Selenium. So as we need to add an element, let's go to Google search. Let's see. So we are after launching the browser, the first thing we need to enter the search item. So let's inspect the search element and see. So the search area. So we need to identify an unique element where we can enter the value. So I see there is a ID and also the name. But the ID has some alphanumeric value where we can't depend on it because it may vary. So, but the name you see it's a unique, so it's name equal to Q. So we can use this name equal to Q. Let's copy this and just go to the implementation and let's place it here. And we need to add a web element to it. So web element from Selenium package. So add the name. So the name we can have it as a search bar. Now we can create a public method, public void search item. Okay, so now you can use the web element dot. So now we can interact with the browser with these methods which we have from Selenium. So basically it's a search bar. We are using send keys, and we need to enter the input. So we will enter it from arguments. So input. So later we can pass on the test. So we are not hard coding the code. So we can enter any type of input that comes from the test data dot properties. So we will configure it later. As of now, we are passing it from argument, and it is taking it from the method. Okay. So once it is done, so once we have entered any value, such automation testing, so we have got few drop down options here. So we need to identify where exactly our option should be available, and we need to click on that item. As it is dynamic drop down, so we need to first capture all the elements from the drop down, and we need to iterate each and every element and get the element as per our input, then click on that element. So for to do that, first we need to capture the entire drop down. So to do that, let's see what is the common class anything we have for this drop down. So yeah, so I see it's a undefined list, which is a list box. So UL is the undefined list tag which we have, and we have a list box here. The role defines a list box. So where it selected all the drop down elements. So we can use these as our drop down element, and we can fetch from our search element. So let's copy this role equal to list box, and let me go to let me go to my IntelliJ. So let's use at the rate find by annotation and add role equal to list box. As it says it can't read role, so it's better to add XPath and add this role, because this attribute cannot be found. So we need to add XPath. So in order to write the XPath, we can use and we can add the tag name, which is UL undefined list, and so we have added the role equal to list box. Okay, so we need to add a web element for this. So it's a drop down list. Once you got the drop down list, so the next thing we is to identify the particular element which we need to select. So let's see what is the structure inside UI. So in UL tag we have number of li, which is a linear, so it's ordered list, so it's a list. Okay, so each tag refers to one element here. Okay, so if you see, there are a few attributes here: data view, class, JS action. I see this class is somewhat unique. So, and also if I open the one of the list item, so I can see this is selecting the particular name of the item where we have the area label. Okay, so and it has some ID. I think it is also dynamic as per the name, and we have the role option and also class. So class also we can't say it's a dynamic, as it is some value it's representing. So it may vary in future, but we need a unique value where we can select that. So best thing is we can add role equal to option from the list. Okay, so we need to traverse from list, and we need to traverse from list to this div in order to get this element. So not only this element, we can get any element from the UI list. So let's write for one, and we can integrate with other things. Okay, so let's take this role equal to presentation. So instead we can take class. So I think class only four letters are there. Maybe it may add some other new name. We can use contains here. Let me add. So we already had added two at the rate find by. So let me add one more selector, which is by selector. So we'll be adding drop down elements. So we need is asking to import by. So let me import by from Selenium. Okay. So I'll add by dot. So as we have multiple elements, so I'm using a by dot XPath. Okay, so in this XPath we need to add syntax of our XPath, which is so it is li, and you can add the contain statements, and add at the rate class comma and add your name. So which is so copy this name and go to the XPath syntax and add it here. So let's paste it, and then we need to close this. Okay, then we haven't done it, so we need to add the descendant of this tag, which is this div tag where it have the area label. So better we can choose role option. Okay, let's copy this. and just add descendant is to div and add. Okay, so we have added this and just close this. Okay, we have created a by selector. So let's create a method. So public void, okay, collect items. Okay, we can use any method, collect items. We can use this drop down list. So dot, so we can use find elements, and it is expecting a by selector. So you can add these drop down elements. Okay, so it will return the list of web elements. Okay, so let's create a list of web elements. So list of web elements. So I will mention it as a drop down elements. So it's asking to import list. Let's import list from java.util. So let's use this. So already it is telling that we have drop down elements name. So elements list, we can add this. So let's copy this and we will assign this to the we will return this list of web elements. Okay, so once it is returned, now we will void select item from our input. Okay, so how to select? So we need to iterate this list. So in order to iterate list, let me use for loop. So for each web element from the list, which is drop down list, element list. So I need to, so first write a condition like if element, already we have, there is a attribute for that, right? Element dot get attribute. So what is the attribute we have? So we have attribute called area label. So use this area label attribute, and so we can fetch our value. So if it is dot equals with our search item, so then so we will pass this element from so search item. So from, if it is equals, then we should click on that item. It's a search item. So why it's not copying? Copy, paste. Okay, then I will click that element, then use the breakpoint so it will not go to other element. Once the Google page objects has been created and the particular methods have been created, let's move to Google Steps class. So where we need to add our methods. Okay, so here we need to add steps here. So as we need to mention methods, so each method is a step here. So if I add public void launch Google application, Google app, so this is the method. So where we need to launch our application. So this can be considered as one step. Okay, so this step is from the Serenity package where we need to import. So it will act as one step. Okay, so we can create as many steps as we require for our test case. So in our test case, we need multiple steps, right? So let me create some steps here. So as required, I think 4 are required for our thing. So we need to rename it. So the first step is launch Google app. Then the next thing is we need to search item, and we need to collect items. This is one step, and the next thing is select items, right? So I think 4 steps are enough. So we have created 4 steps, and we need to create a class where we have the page objects. Okay, so so in order to use those class, we need to add this class from there. So let's create an object for this page. So add an instance. So using these instance, we will get methods from this class. Okay, so in order to launch an application, we haven't derived it. So in order to search an item, we already have a method for this, which is search item. Okay, so give as Google page dot search item. So it is expecting an input. So we will send the input from here. Okay, we will add that here input, and to collect the elements, we already have a method for that to collect the elements. So we have done the implementation here. Only we are using these methods here. Okay, so using this Google page dot collect elements. Okay, and the next thing is select item. So where we already have a method for this, we have select item. So it is also expecting a string. So just copy this and paste it in the arguments, which is an input, and have this input here. So we have defined the steps. I will show you later how to launch the browser. Okay, so as of now we have done with the Google steps, and the next thing is Google test. So in Google steps, so whatever the steps, each and every step you have defined, you need to aggregate here, okay, under test. Okay, in order to do that, first you need to have a method public void test Google. Okay, so in this method we need to have our all steps to be implemented. So in order to do that, so let's have our Google steps class. Okay, so it should be under steps annotation. So all steps will be in under one, in one section, one class. Okay, later we can use these to implement. Okay, so in order to launch our browser, we need a browser, right? So in order to do that, we have a manage tag in Serenity. So where it will manage all our browsers, and any sessions to be unique, we can handle this. So we need to add here what is our driver name. So driver equal to, here we are using Chrome browser. So and use WebDriver from Selenium package and add an instance for that. Okay, so now let's use these Google steps. So Google steps instance, and the first thing is we need to launch the application. Then the next thing is we need to search for the item, and we will search this item, so based on the item which we provide as input, and later we need to collect the items, and the next step is we need to select the items. Sorry, select the items. Google step dot select item, and we need to provide the input. Okay, this is the test case. Okay, so this should be under at the rate test. So at the rate test from org.junit, which is our JUnit frame from our JUnit framework. Okay, so this is how we have organized our test case. Oh, I see there is an error, cannot resolve Chrome. Maybe it should be in double quotes. Okay, now yeah, it should be in double quotes as it is a value which is passing as argument. So now we have written one single test case. As soon as I have added a test tag, I got the executable way where we can run from our test case. Okay, so we have created a page, and we have implemented our web elements. We have created Google steps. We have added each steps. So each step includes one single method. Okay, and later we have created test case. We have organized all the steps into one single test. Okay, and now coming to the test data properties, so we have created under resources folder. Let's add the test data. So the first test data is the search item. So I am searching for automation testing. Okay, and select item. So select item will be, so I can select any item like automation testing for selenium. Okay, this item needs to be, so this item needs to be selected. Okay, so this is under test data properties. So how to pull these test data properties? So we can use properties class. Okay, properties from java.util. So create an object for properties. Okay, so after creating the object, let's use this object. So in order to use the property files, first we need to tell properties where exactly our input data is there. So use properties dot, so load. So you can have a load option here where it's expecting for the input stream. So let's use this. So create a new file input stream where you can pass the path of your uh, test data properties. Let's copy the path reference. So path from current content and just paste it here. Okay, and it is asking for exception. There is an exception where we can add for file not found exception, and one more exception for IO exception. So yeah, so we have loaded the prop files. Now we need to add these properties to our test case. Okay, how to add properties? So once you have loaded the properties, so all the properties from test data properties will be loaded into prop object. Okay, we can use these prop to retrieve our test data. So using prop dot get property. So you need to send what test data property you need to use. So you need to copy, come to test, then paste it here. So in the same way, you need to have select element. So just paste it here. So and you need to change the name of the test data property, which is search item select. So this is select item, right? So this should be select item. So now you are giving properties from test data. So these test data properties are loaded into test using properties. Then we are using these properties to inject into our test case. Okay, so this search item will go into this step, and we will get the step, and it will be uh, connecting to the browser and sending the keys as input. Okay, this is how we will write. And the next thing, now we need to focus on the serenity.properties. So this is the main thing which we need to configure here. So in order to do that, let me go to the browser and let me go to this website. So okay, this is under Serenity BDD GitHub, Serenity.properties. What are the properties we need to configure? We can come here and we can check. Okay, so we have a lot of properties here. Okay, but we don't need all of them, so we can use as per our requirement. So our requirement is to add one URL. So for adding an URL, we have this WebDriver base URL. Okay, let's copy this and we just paste it here. So we can have our Google. So this is the Google. So we can have our URL as Google. This webdriver.base.url is a property where we can use to launch our browser with this application google.com. So no need to add these with selenium properties. Instead we are using serenity bdt property to launch our browser. Okay, so the next thing we can add as a property is webdriver.driver. So we can mention which driver we need to work with. So okay, so just come here and paste it. So we need to use Chrome browser to launch. Then what are the properties we can use? So we can also uh, we can also use project name, so it will print in the report. So what project name you need to work with? So I'm using demo Serenity Santhosh. Okay, and what else we can use? So it is asking take screenshots. So this is very important. We can take this. So take screenshots, and is also taking. So where we can take the screenshot for every action or before step or after steps or after failures. Okay, so let's add the tag, and I want these screenshots to be taken after each step. So each step indicates each method in our steps. Okay, so after each step, it will add the screenshot. Okay, so and let's see what are the tags we can use here. So I think these are all the things which we can implement based upon our requirement. So as of now, we don't require all these things. I think for our we can use this for. Okay, and as I said, we will go to steps. Okay, so inside this, we need to launch the application. In order to do that, we can use Google page dot. We have an option from Trinity by default, which is open, which will launch the application based on the base URL you have provided here. So if you, this is the default method open, so it will launch the application as per the property you have provided. Let's see what else we can add here. Let's see what else we can add here. So for synchronization purpose, we can add implicit or explicit wait. For that, we can take these. So yeah, so we can use this implicit wait. So it is asking us to mention the time unit as milliseconds. So we need to mention it in milliseconds. So let's keep 30 seconds, which is 30,000 milliseconds. And let's see what else we have. So driver. So path the driver. So it is not system path. So you can use this Chrome driver path also. So it should be Chrome. Okay, so by default, the Chrome driver path will be Chrome. So these are the properties which we need to add, and these are the steps which we can do. So after launching the browser, it will open the application, it will go to search option, and it will collect the items and it will run. Okay, let's try to run it once and see how it is running. So I didn't add any configuration for Maven. So let's run it from JUnit as of now, and let's see whether it's how it works. So now I got an option to run here. So let's click on run. So it's building the project. So let's wait for some time. So it's cleaning the output directories and it's building the project. Yeah, hope it is collecting all the data. Okay. Okay, it is initializing the test and we got a failure. So let's see what is the failure. 28. So launching the browser. So it says there is a null pointer exception. Okay, so Google Steps instantiation. Okay, it's telling null pointer exception under Google Steps, which was not instantiated correctly. So if we add steps, it should be instantiated automatically. Okay. Okay, so in order to run our test case, we need to integrate with our Serenity runner. Okay, so that JUnit will understand it is a Serenity BDD framework, so it will implement the test case. So in order to do that, we need to add this at the rate run with. So this at the rate run with is from JUnit runner. Okay, use this, and we need to add Serenity runner. Okay, dot class. Okay, so if you add this statement, now JUnit will understand it is a Serenity framework. So we are executing Serenity test cases based on the steps, whatever the annotations that are aligned with the Serenity. So now let me try to run again. So let's see. So now this time it should be executed without any error. Hope so. Let's try to run that. Okay, so it is testing the Google. So it came to test object. Yeah, Chrome driver started successfully. Okay, so it's launching the browser. So it's launched the Google application. Now it should enter the name for automation testing and it should select the drop down. So I don't see any drop down element. Yeah, so yeah. Okay, so it waited for some time as we are given implicit wait of 30 seconds. So till the drop down appears. So now it got the element appeared. And yeah, you can see there is a green tick mark which says like the test case has been successfully passed. But we don't receive any report because we haven't ran from Maven. So if you ran from Maven, that will create the report. Okay, now we got a understanding how to run the JUnit test case, right? Now we will run from Maven. Before running from Maven, I have just observed while launching the browser, it didn't launch in a maximize mode. Let me make it maximize. So in order to do that, let's go to Google page and let's add one more method. So public void maximize. So the reason why I'm adding the method instead of syntax, so that we can use this method in the steps. So maximize. So we haven't created any driver object here to use driver dot manage dot uh, window dot maximize, right? So page object will default given a driver instance which is get driver. So get driver dot. So here we can use the Selenium methods to interact with the browser. So we are using get driver. So it will be by default initialized with the Chrome driver and provides the object for us. No need to initialize separately for this. Okay, we can use this syntax to maximize the browser. So if I go to Google steps and in the first steps, if I add this Google page dot maximize, so it will maximize the browser, then it will launch the URL which we mentioned in the Serenity.properties. Okay, so our setup is done now. So we need to run from Maven. So I will open the terminal. So in terminal, so let's write the command for the Maven. So we are using Maven clean verify. So if you see the Maven lifecycle, so if you see the Maven lifecycle, so uh, the first one is the clean, which will clean all the target folder. The validate will validate the code. Compile will do the compilation. Test will run the test cases. Package will run the test cases and also create a package. Then verify will do the entire thing from clean to package and do the verification of the test cases. Install will do so whatever the steps we have further, which will implement from the first and it will end at the last. Okay, as of now we are using verify. Okay, so let's use Maven. So mvn clean verify. So as of now, uh, so we have a target folder, so which already have the classes and things. So this clean command will delete all the target folder elements and it will add it again. Okay, and verify will do the test case execution. So let's run this command. So it is building the snapshot of our Santosh Serenity demo project, which is our project name. Okay, so you see it is deleting the target folder. So it launched the test. So Chrome driver has successfully started. So yeah, it started. So it should maximize first as per our command. So it maximized and it should launch the Google application. So once the Google application has been launched, it should select the automation testing and it should select the automation testing Selenium and it should enter into the page and it should close the browser once the test case has been done. Now, as we written in the Maven plugin for Serenity, it should create a report for us. So you see this aggregate, so which we have mentioned in the form.xml. If you remember in the plugin section, we have mentioned this aggregate. So it will aggregate all the screenshots into one report. So this is the, yeah, you see, if you see the Serenity test, it says total executed is one test case as we have one test case. So this is one test case. So it is telling one test case and one test case is passed. And it took a duration of 29 seconds to run this test case. And it has provided the full report. So if I click on this HTML report, so it will open in the browser. So this is the best thing in Serenity BDD framework. So it will create a clean and very descriptive way of reporting. So you can see the test result. So this is a summary where one test case is passing. If it is failing, it will show here what are the failed test cases. And you can see this is the test Google, which we have the scenario name and feature is the Google test. And you see we have mentioned the project name as Serenity Santhosh, right? That is available here. And you see for every step it took the screenshot because in our framework we have mentioned to take screenshot after each step. Okay, so after each step it took the screenshot. So for Google launching the Google, it took screenshot and entering the value, it took screenshot. Then after selecting the value also it took screenshot. Okay, so it took 4 screenshot for each and every step it took the screenshots. So you can see the timestamp here. Okay, and So these names will come based on the test case names we have. We can share this report to the management or the test leads so that they can see the results as per your execution. Let me give you brief summary what we have done till now. So we have created a Maven project and we have inputted the dependencies and plugins for our Serenity BDD framework. And we have created 3 more packages under test folder: pages, steps, and test. Under pages, we have created a Google page where we have created the web elements and the methods. And under the steps, we have created the steps class. To each and every method corresponding to one step, we have created 4 steps of our uh, implementation. Then under Google test, we have derived all the steps into one test case. Okay, and we also created a test data properties where we have inputted our 2 input variables and we have projected using properties. So we have loaded the properties from the input stream from the path, and we have retrieved using prop.get property and injected into our test case. And using serenity.class, using iterate run with tag from JUnit, we have triggered our test cases, and using Maven command, we got the reporting structure also. So here you can create as many pages as you need as per your application. So, and you can create as many test cases, and you can run your test cases using the Maven command. I hope this session is helpful for you to understand on Serenity BDD framework. Before ending the session, I would like to ask subscribe to my channel for further videos so that it will help me to do more such videos like this. Okay, and also share the videos to your friends and colleagues, whoever are willing to learn Selenium with Serenity BDD framework. And thank you for your time, and we will see you in the next video. Thank